you have spoken a number of times about um, communication, about talking to your captains, about that kind of thing. You're a culture guy. I know that about you, and I have experienced that over the years. It's become a little, flavor of the month to talk about culture, but why is that important both within the walls of a locker room and on the ice?
Yeah, so it's funny how you define culture too. Sometimes culture is defined by leaders, by coaches, by administrators, by managers, by executives, whatever it might be. But the reality of it is, culture is driven in the trenches, and I think that that's really kind of the key when it comes to getting people to really buy into who we are as a group. What are we really trying to accomplish? What are the key tenets that we want to show up every day? Like one of my favorite things for the kids is just show up and be better every day. If you had a bad day yesterday, who cares? Like you can't do anything about it. So
Right.
just be better the next day. And so, in fact, that's one of the things that I talk about in my parent meeting just last week was I said, our job as coaches is really to create an environment for you as an athlete to self-actuate. We can put practice plans in place, we can do all that fun stuff, but you have to really understand the culture of winning is driven internally. It's not necessarily driven externally. And so I think that this whole premise of working hard, putting your teammates first, our philosophy, and I've preached this for a long time, is we play unselfish, disciplined, fast-paced hockey. And the girls get sick of hearing it. In fact, I said it at the parent meeting last week, and some of the kids who were there around last year, they were like, "Yeah, unselfish, disciplined, fast-paced hockey." But that's part of it. Is at least they know that that's what it is, and so.
Right.
And so just key words like that, driving that culture on a regular basis and then living it every day is huge.
Um, One of the reasons that you and I talked about doing this is the acronym that you're
Mhm.
using. Break it down for me. I mean, letter by letter, and what it means, not just on paper, but what it means to the efforts and the mental state of your players.
Yeah, sure. So what we were talking about is I came up with an acronym, and I'll give some credit to some former coaches that I used to work with. They used the word character as a acronym, and so we actually created a sign when you go into the Orono Ice Arena and you go walk towards the girls' locker room. We actually put this sign up just before you get into the door, and so character counts is what we're talking about, and basically the C stands for courage, and what I mean by that is don't, and this goes to life. So this is not just hockey stuff, but don't play scared. Get out of your comfort zone. You never get better by staying inside your own comfort zone. So have the courage to get out of there. Be okay with making mistakes, etc. So that's the C. First C is character, or courage, excuse me. H stands for hard work, and I know this is kind of, we've heard this all the time, but hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But it's so true. I mean, we can have the most talented group of kids on the ice, and you see it at a high level. You see, Olympic teams and national teams that are out there, that have the greatest players in the world,
Right.
and they can't figure it out because they're not working on it. So again, my expectation is that they're always working. The A stands for accountability. You need to be accountable to yourself, your team, and your family. And I think that there's a lack of accountability out there. People always say, hold me accountable. And that's such a false statement because there's accountability is internal. You have to be the one that decides whether or not you're going to hold yourself and accountable to the culture that you're within, to your hard work that you're going to play courageously, those sorts of things. We can hold you. We can give you discipline, or we can give you rewards based on whether you're holding yourself accountable or not. But the reality is accountability is not external, and I think that's maybe a mistake that many people make. The R stands for resilient. Never quit on yourself, never quit on your team. And look, I mean, the greatest thing about sport, this, Dana, is that, the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations that people go through in order to get to where they want to is life. And hockey is one of the greatest teachers of life lessons when it comes to being resilient. And it's not just the season, it's shift by shift. You come off the ice and you have a bad shift, you're like, you got to get back to it. You don't have time to wallow in your guilt or wallow in your sorrow because you made a bad pass or you got scored on. You don't have that choice. And so being resilient and being resilient quickly is really important. So The next one is A. It stands for authentic, and I think authenticity about being who you are and really engaging and believing in who you are is really key. It just means, be the best you, and don't try to be who you're not. There's so many people out there that want to be. I want to be a 50 goal scorer. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe that's not your skill set. Maybe you just have a ridiculous ability to read plays and move the puck. Maybe you're a great passer. Maybe you're great on the wall. Maybe you're really strong in front of the net. Maybe you're just a power forward and that's who you want to be. Maybe you're a skill person. Maybe you're a great goaltender. Maybe you play back in your net. Maybe you don't. I mean, there's so many things that go into trying to be authentic. But again, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I think some of the social media says, oh, I have to be that person. And I can tell you that roles and responsibilities, and this, roles and responsibilities on a team are so important. And when you
Key.
get to colleges, and we look at Division I, Division III, and that's been really fun for me in the last couple of years to get to know some of the D1 and D3 schools and colleges and coaches, is they know they can see who you are on the ice. And so just be authentic about who you are. I think that's important. The next C stands for culture. We talked a little bit about that. Culture trumps strategy every day. We want people to live it and breathe it. We don't want people to get, kind of outside of our walls with respect to culture. So we try and reiterate that on a regular basis when we're on the ice with the kids and when we're off the ice, when we're doing film or whatever it is. So again, that stands for, the next one was C, was culture. And then that is stands for trust, and trust in each other, but trust in the process. We have a lot of kids, and all these kids out there these days, they want to strive to a higher level. You have to trust that the process is in place. It does work. I mean, it's more prevalent, frankly, I think, on the boys' side than maybe on the girls' side, when you see the kids that have to go play maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years of junior hockey in order to play Division I. It's all about development. This is truly long-term athlete development. And so, trust in the process, but then trust in each other. And that comes to, communication on ice, off ice. Where are you going to be? When are you going to be there? That also believes in systems. If we're trying to create a system, if we do a specific zone entry, if we're doing a neutral zone regroup, we need people to trust the process and trust that their teammates are going to be in the right spots. It just makes the game flow way better. And ultimately, you're going to see better success. E is for energy. And this is what I say: positive energy, always, everywhere, with everyone. And that includes in school, that includes in the community. I mean, it's people are going to go up and down, but you got to find that internal positive energy and bring it out every single time. Because negativity breeds negativity and positivity breeds positivity. And so we want to make sure that in fact, the leadership meeting I had with our captains, they talked a little bit about what they want to do a little differently this year to make sure that the positive energy in the locker room is at a super high level. Both between periods and then, just before we're getting on the ice for practices. And then the last one, Dana, is respect. And simply that is, one, respect is earned and it's not given. And so people have to be understanding of that. But second of all, there are so many people that make this game possible. I mean, respect of the officials. You and I are both officials. Respect of the teachers, your respect of your parents, your community, et cetera. It's just a key tenet that we need to live by. So those are the acronyms of the meanings of this word character. And we want to say character counts at Orono.
How is being a good and effective coach like being a parent? What are the parallels?
I mean, there's so many parallels. It's good communication. It's you truly, you have to love the kids to a certain level beyond the hockey rink. I mean,
right.
We've spent, our coaching staff has spent time even this summer, Dana, working with kids on how do you communicate to college coaches? When you have kids asking you to help write letters of recommendation, that's kind of fun. But like an example is like with the emails and the communications to college coaches, they were like, hey, can you help me communicate to my coach? I'm like, great, send me a draft email. And so I have them start with what they're going to send. And then I send back and go, well, these are the things that a college coach may need to see from you. So redo it. So we don't do it for them, which is kind of the trick on parenting, right? I mean, you can't do it for the kids.
Empowering.
So you try and teach them all these life lessons just about communication and whatnot. And so it's very similar to that. But at the same time, there's a discipline component of it too, where you got to hold the kids accountable to things, just like you have to hold your own kids accountable to things. And sometimes the message doesn't feel very good. But I think that if you've generated enough trust, and look, there are a lot of really good coaches out there in this state, and most of them have a really good relationship and trusted relationship with the kids that they're coaching, both on the boys and the girls side. But when you have that, man, and then have the ability um, to have a harder conversation with them, it's actually easier because they know you care. They're not doing it just because you're, yelling at you, or you got a problem with what they did on a breakout, or whatever it is. They're like, no, he or she, the coaches genuinely care about making me a better hockey player, a better person, and that's why they're telling me this. I mean, if I know this has probably been said a lot of times, but if there are kids out there and all of a sudden you're halfway through the season, your coach stops talking to you, that's where I'd start getting worried, right? Because then they've
Right.
potentially given up, and you don't want that. So always be open to hearing the feedback, whether it hurts or not. One of the coolest things that I got, Dana, at the end of the year was, the kids write you a note, and, they give you a thank you note or whatever. One of the kids actually said to me, and I'll probably always keep it. Her comment was, you, you, you made the season fun, but more importantly, you treated us like one of your daughters. And I was like, I can't have a better compliment than that. I mean, that's one of those things where I just sat back and I still get chills when I talk about it. And so the impact that you can have on a young woman, is kind of what this is all about. I mean, the hockey's fine. I mean, it's great hockey, by the way. We have a good team, and my whole premise with the girls is like, I don't want you to be good at this level. I want you to be good at the next level. And so I want you to be thinking about what you need to do differently. Like, we have kids that can toe drag and, go around 5 people and all that fun stuff. And I'm like, you aren't going to be able to do that D1. So start making the right plays now, and that will carry over, into the next career. But the message, Dana, is really more about, that's what life is. I mean, if the girls are thinking like this is all it is, then they're never going to grow. And that whole idea of getting out of your comfort zone and, being uncomfortably comfortable, or being comfortable being uncomfortable, I think is the right way to say it.
Right.
I mean, that's the only way you grow as a person, much less a hockey player.